Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Little for PokerNews.com. Today I'm going to be reviewing a hand that I played from a side event at a recent major poker tour. Side events are often a mixed bag of players. Sometimes the players are incredibly weak, sometimes they are very strong. You definitely want to make sure that you are playing in the softer events. You do not want to be playing in the ones that are very tough. Like, for example, on the European Poker Tour, they often have something like a 5,000 euro main event. They often have a few 5,000 euro side events. And some people just think, oh, both 5Ks are the same, right? Because they're the same buy-in. But in reality, the main event is a million times softer than a random 5,000 euro side event. Same thing goes for if you're going to go play something like a 1,000 euro or $1,000 buy-in tournament at a local casino where they satellite in a bunch of players because it's, say, the Mid-States Poker Tour. That's going to be a much softer tournament compared to if it's just a random $1,000 tournament that they run once every month at your casino, because a lot of people are going to come in to play the tournament that's a big deal. So always try to make sure you are playing in the soft events, especially if you have bankroll concerns. Like if you don't have a gigantic bankroll, you want to make sure that when you are playing the upper buy-in level for the games that you play, that you are playing in soft events. So anyway, this happened to be a very soft tournament, I remember, or at least there were a few soft players at this tournament. This guy who's overly lag is crazy. When I say crazy, this guy was getting it all, or not necessarily getting it all in, but playing very aggressively. He was not afraid to bluff after the flop. He was not afraid to do anything silly. He came to play. So here, we have a raise from this overly lag guy, and then a semi-active player re-raises to 1,100 out of his 7,000 starting stack. I pick up pocket jacks and the cutoff. Now, normally, I would be very happy to just re-raise to something like 2,300 and get it in versus the semi-active player. I think that'd be perfectly fine. Pocket jacks are definitely good enough to get it all in for 40 big blinds versus the semi-active player. But given this player, the overly loose aggressive guy, is in the pot, I want to do everything I can to keep him in as well. So this is a spot where I'm just going to call. If you've studied my game much, you know I really do not like cold calling 3-bets. I think that's one of the worst plays you can make, actually. But in this scenario, I think it has a ton of merit. Somehow, a tight guy calls in the small blind. Well, that kind of makes alarm bells go off, just looking back at this hand. But whatever. Overly loose aggressive guy goes all in for all of it. Semi-active guy folds. So now, what do we do with our pocket jacks? Do we really want to be playing a 95 big blind pot with pocket jacks early in a tournament? Almost always the answer to this question is definitely not, because we're going to be against a very strong range. Most people, whenever they shove in this spot, are going to have something like aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, and ace king. And against that range, we just want to fold. The way you can often look at these ranges is you look at how many pairs am I beating and how many hands am I dominating. And against aces through tens and ace king, well, we're flipping versus ace king, so we're not dominating it. We can forget about it. We beat pocket tens. We lose to pocket aces, so those net each other out. And then when he has kings and queens, we're getting it in behind, very far behind. So in this spot, if that's his all-in range, which will be the all-in range of most normal humans, then we have a pretty easy fold. Especially given we're really not trying to go broke at a table that I just described as pretty soft. But I know this guy is more than capable of getting all in with a very wide range. So against this guy, I'm going to be more than happy to call. Do we take the tight guy into concern? I think we certainly have to. Notice here, though, that even if we do call and the tight guy was slow playing with pocket aces, we still get it in what's likely going to be somewhat good for the remaining 10,000 chips. 9,000 chips. So if we do get it all in versus the tight guy and he has aces and we win the side pot, we're still going to get back what we put in. So it's not really that big of a concern. If this guy trapped us, he trapped us. Good job. So I'm going to call it off. Pocket jacks is not great, but it is certainly good enough versus an overly lag guy. Tight guy folds. We were against king 9 offsuit. So overly lag indeed. And we get a very nice pot to jump up to 47,000 chips, 46,000 chips right at the start of a tournament, which is clearly fantastic. So always make a point whenever you are playing against players to really accurately assess their ranges and don't make the mistake of assuming your opponents think like you play. I think that would be a very big disaster, especially in this spot, because I imagine most of you would just never shove with King 9 offsuit in this spot. And if you are, you probably want to rethink your strategy. We have a lot of poker quizzes over at pokercoaching.com that will help you rethink your strategy and learn how to think like a professional. So if you have this problem, this is an easily fixable one. Check it out at pokercoaching.com for some of the quizzes. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video for pokernews.com. I want to thank you all for being here. If you enjoyed this quiz, let Poker News know so that they allow me to continue making videos for them. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back next week with another educational poker hand.